Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is HD.
And this is Cat's Pajamas.
We're both here to be broadcasting a qualifier match from the IPL. This is Qualifier 4 from the round of 64. And this is going to be MSiTT1 versus EGLzGamer from EG. And it is going to be a Zerg or Protoss versus Terran on Xel'Naga Caverns.
Yeah, absolutely. And makes for a fun matchup as well. I would be shocked if we didn't see some sort of a combination of TT1 doing gateway expand into gateway pressure. It's kind of his calling card. And then EGLzGamer more likely do a gateway opening into, you know, heavy bio with drop or something like that. So, do what?
Barracks opening.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I get confused all the time, man.
Yep. And so, yeah, so I'm really curious to see if these players are going to kind of switch it up, though. But TT1, you know, loves that 3-gate expand, plays into a style. He can go up and just like multi-gate double forge builds and things like that afterwards. Should make for a fun match, though.
Yeah, I think both these players are kind of prone to a kind of long-term game. TT1 is definitely one of the players who's very creative. And I do know both of these players personally, having met them at several LAN conventions, so to say, and BlizzCon as well. Both of them are awesome, fine gentlemen, and very respectable gamers at that. TT1 here is going to be opening up pretty standard, opting not to wall off the front door. Neither is EGLzGamer, so neither of these players really want to wall themselves off. They want to be able to have easy access between their ramps, and of course, on this map, it is kind of difficult to place that front wall because it can be sniped very easily.
Absolutely, and it's never a bad idea to build buildings close into your command structure, especially when you have a Terran versus Protoss. It just helps so much against drops and any sort of harassment play or things like that, just to play that little bit of SimCity. Looks like a pylon going down to the back here. That's going to block off quite a bit of the mineral line from EGLzGamer should he choose to drop. But other than that, standard as can be.
Yeah, pretty standard game right now, and you're right, that pylon makes a great blockade against any Marines. They won't be able to stim and run around, although there seems like there might be a hex.
It's a little gap, but it'll prevent things from jumping in here. And
yeah, this is just preemptive play by TT1, though. I mean, in general, I don't think you can block that off fully with just a pylon, but it's generally smart play to place their buildings as wisely as possible, and that's what TT1's doing. He also has his probe running in here, and he is going to steal the gas of EGLzGamer here. I actually like this play a lot. Protoss players that do this actually force the Terran into some kind of a 1-Rax fast Expo build rather than allowing them to go for something like fast Hellions or early Banshee.
And I know it's something that Pain User harps on a lot, but that assimilator has 900 hit points if you counted shields. That's ludicrous. Who gives a gas structure 900 hit points? It's just so annoying to deal with. It requires so many units to take out.
Yeah, well, actually it takes a couple Marines, you're right. The thing, though, is that those early Marines will be forced on killing off that assimilator rather than being able to move across the map and control Xel'Naga towers and pick off additional scouting probes. So right now, of course, TT1 has the option to send in another probe. He doesn't have to worry about it being sniped off. But he can relatively and comfortably assume that TT1, or excuse me, EGLzGamer is going to go for 1-Rax Expo because this is what it forces Terran players to do once you steal that gas.
And we'll see how EGLzGamer decides to transition after this. If he's just going to go up to more bio pressure, if he's going to stick and go up to attack. And there we go. We do have a factory appearing right away. So we'll see how quickly he goes to a second gas. There it is. So it looks like we are going to have some sort of a tech lab in the future, as he does have quite a bit of gas saved up. And he's, of course, not spending that on anything else at the moment. So probably a quick tech lab coming out of this factory.
Yeah, most likely going to be a tech lab coming out of the factory, although he may opt to swap it with the barracks and pump out some Hellions as well.
Go up to a Starport Banshee or something like that after that?
Yeah, go for Banshee as well. It would certainly be a little bit more delayed because usually if you go for that Banshee build, you want to get it going right away. Getting it after the command center is viable as well, but it allows the Protoss player more time to get the Observer out and get the proper units to defend against any kind of Banshee, because Banshee is really kind of one of those units that is hit and miss. You might kill a lot of probes, you might not, so it is kind of a bit of a gamble.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see, Tech Lab is going down on the factory at this time, so we'll see EGLzGamer, does he get it with the SCV? He does! Scouts the 3-gate and doesn't see anything else coming up, so he knows that there is going to be a good old-fashioned 3-gate expand build, and indeed we do see the Nexus already queued up from TT1. It looks like our poor SCV did manage to slip off into the night. He did pass away. Bunker coming down now for EGLzGamer as he adds a second factory here.
Oh, we might be actually seeing some kind of a siege build here. Oh, 3 factories going down. This is really interesting and able to pick off the scouting probe that was making its way into the main node. TT1 has no robotics facility, so it's coming now, but his observer is going to be somewhat delayed.
Yes.
I wonder if EGLzGamer here is just going to try some kind of a mass mech with tank push and marines. That would be really creative. I mean, he's adding so many factories off of one base. Essentially, he's not even lifted off his command center yet, his other orbital command, so to say. I'm really interested what he's going to do with this 3rd factory.
Yeah, this is actually a good example of knowing your opponent as well. TT1 loves the abusive sentry force field play with tons of gateways. In fact, he's already going to his 4th gateway. And what he likes to do is he likes to just get a lot of zealots, a lot of sentries, and trap rounds of units, and just allow his zealots to get in there and engage only a portion at a time. And what EGLzGamer is doing essentially is just saying, you know, well, forget that. I'm going to be able to pump out as many units as possible. I'm going to outrange your units. I'm going to outflank your units with all these Blue Flame Hellions I'm putting up at the moment. And he's just going to really neutralize that sentry count. They are light units, so they'll take a ton of damage from those Blue Flame Hellions, and the siege tanks with siege mode will be able to outrange them. So this is a clever build. I like where EGLzGamer's going.
Yeah, this is really innovative from LZ. He's basically doing some kind of a mass marine, mass Hellion with a couple of artillery tanks in the back. And the thing about this build is the Hellions are going to wipe the floor with all the zealots and the sentries. They're good against light units, and that's exactly what zealot and sentries are. Now, what EGLzGamer has to be a little bit concerned about is the number of immortals that TT1's going to be able to make. He is making 1 right now. Of course, I don't believe LZ even has stim for his marines, so he really will have stim. I'm pretty sure he has stimless marines right now, which means that, yeah, he's not going to be able to move in and snipe off the immortal. TT1 will be able to keep it in the back, and the immortal's going to be able to hard counter all of these factory units that are coming out.
Yeah, we'll find out though. So these Hellions, though, I mean, the fact that he's producing 5 at a time, it's going to give him ridiculous mobility. So I'm curious to see how he's going to be able to utilize these units. He is making a really strong timing attack now, and TT1's going to advance at the same time. So these opponents are going to find each other. EGLzGamer has to back up at the moment. A couple of good force fields to trap those Hellions in. They don't get off many shots, and that's actually pretty critical because EGLzGamer would have wanted those Hellions to flank, and he's going to need to wait for a few more reinforcements. Again, he is putting up 5 at a time. They only take 30 seconds to produce.
Oh, wow.
Oh, but EGLzGamer's just throwing away those Hellions.
Oh, wow. I don't know if you see this, Cats, but siege mode is just now starting. So LZ's actually got a really late siege upgrade going on here, and that's because he only had 1 tech lab on his factory. He opted to go for Blue Flame first. His siege mode now is extremely delayed. He's going to need at least another minute for siege. I don't think he's going to push until he has siege ready, and I think what he's going to try to do now is use his Blue Flame Hellions to do some harass, buy time, but there's an observer there, and it sees the Hellions, and so I think that TT1's in a really good spot. He's got 2 immortals with a 3rd coming out. Those immortals are going to be absolutely crucial, especially since the Marines, like I said, cannot stim to reach the immortals. Here comes the big battle. Force field splitting the tanks off from the Marines. The Hellions are all getting wiped away by the Stalkers and immortals, and now it's just Marines and tanks. I think TT1's in a great spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Those Blue Flame Hellions were absolutely necessary to take down all these high energy sentries and prevent just this from happening, which is this the sequestering of units there by TT1. EGLzGamer lost so much there, and it looks like he is going to try and run in and pick off some probes. He may get quite a few of those, and a lot of probes are going down. A nice little stalker wall there is going to prevent a few of those Hellions from doing damage. Oh, but a few still get in, and a lot of those probes did go down. Let's take a look at the workers lost. 16 workers went down. Units tab suggests, wow, TT1 still has the lead in workers, though. Yep. So EGLzGamer, he's doing damage, but he is not in any way, shape, or form ahead.
Whoa! Well, I think now he's definitely ahead after wiping out that Congo line of probes that were running away. If we take a look at the tabs again, TT1 is still just a smidge behind EGLzGamer. So here's the thing. TT1 basically went for the early Nexus before EGLzGamer got his command center down. He's been pumping probes for, I believe, a much longer time, and EGLzGamer was the one who was trying to be the aggressor. And right now, I would say that both players are pretty evenly matched. Their probe counts are very similar. EGLzGamer doing a good job with that attack because really his Blue Flame Hellions aren't that great in the mid to late game. They're great in the early to mid game, and they're good at harassing, and I'm glad he expended his Hellions to kill off as many probes as possible, because that's exactly what he needed to do. Otherwise, he would be down by so many Harvesters right now.
Yeah, he still does have a significantly smaller army as well, and you know, kind of what you were alluding to as well, these Hellions are certainly not frontline engagement units unless you have good siege up and you're receiving like a line of Zealots or something along those lines. So EGLzGamer is actually pretty significantly behind in terms of standing army at the moment. TT1 is in a better position as far as that goes. He does have Blink coming up as well, so he's researching upgrades for those. I would expect, I thought I saw a forge at some point. Yeah, there is one forge, and now finally starting to research ground weapons level 1, so he's going to start those upgrades as well. And EGLzGamer finally going to 1-1 on his mech, but it may be a case of too little too late. TT1 has an amazing standing army, and it's going to take quite a bit out of EGLzGamer to try and come back in that regard.
Yeah, the nice thing also about that standing army is the shields. After the last battle, they all regenerated. The Protoss army is pretty much back up to at least half serviceable health. You can see that Immortal taking some permanent damage there. But I like what TT1's doing. He's getting Blink, and Blink is going to be a great counter against the mech. TT1 really knows that EGLzGamer is not going Marine heavy. In fact, I don't think there's any more Marines really on the ground. And that's because EGLzGamer never got the Marine upgrades, he never got the Stim or the combat shields. It's too late, and it's too hard for a Terran player to switch out of the tech choice they've chosen in the early game. That's why Terran players are more rigid, rather than being flexible and adaptable like the Zerg. So, I like what TT1's doing. He's gone for Stalkers and Immortals, and this is going to really hard counter the mech that EGLzGamer is trying to field on the map right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see what, you know, EGLzGamer apparently is just waiting for one big attack here, and then he's going to make his way in. He does have an observer, though. By he, I mean TT1. So TT1's going to be able to do a cute little warp in onto the high ground here. If he decides to, it looks like he is getting all of his Stalkers ready. He's going to blink up, and he's going to go ahead and pull all, he's going to pull all of EGLzGamer's units away. EGLzGamer's trying to attack in with Hellions, but that's not really going to work. It's mostly the siege tank that's going to have to do damage. And nice timing here by TT1. He gets him before these upgrades are finishing, and EGLzGamer is going to lose so many of these Hellions. At the same time, looks like TT1 flanked with the rest of his army, tried to get in here to these siege tanks, couldn't attack into that, but right now his Stalkers are devastating the production of his opponent.
What a blink by TT1 right there. Basically an aggressive blink saying, you know, I have more forces than you do, LZ, and I'm going to be able to take you out right now. And this is the problem with the Terran player that doesn't get submarines against Protoss. The Marines are just so good, and Marauders as well, against Stalkers, and without that support, these Stalkers are really just going to be able to rip through the Terran mech. I love the aggressive blink by TT1, both going into the main and going into the army. And look at the SCVs repairing that Thor there. That's pretty much the last hope of EGLzGamer right there. His SCVs and his Thor. He's going to try to push the Stalkers out, but he gets the Stalkers to actually fully retreat, which I'm sure doesn't make him too happy, because, I mean, he's got a gaping hole in his main now.
Yep, absolutely. And let's see here. Looks like EGLzGamer is going to lose that poor scouting barracks. Now, EGLzGamer is dropping down a third, but at the same time, TT1 already had his gold up, running, and saturated, and he's up by 50 supply in addition. So TT1 is replenishing his army really, really well. He's going to +2 weapons in addition. He does have, let's see here, just another observer coming out of that robotics facility for a while, and he added on an 8th gate, even though he hasn't turned that into a warp gate yet, but that will eventually turn here pretty soon. Looks like one Hellion managed to make its way into the economy line here, did some damage, but TT1 still in a magnificent position.
Yeah, you couldn't put it any better, Cats. I think TT1 is in a great position. It looks like he is going to take some probe hits right here, pulling his main army back to deflect against this. How many probes can EGLzGamer get? He actually gets several probes. His Hellions are still alive, one remaining alive after that little skirmish, and it's going to go ahead and make its way into the main to do some scouting and figure out what exactly TT1 is going to be doing next, although he should realize by now it's just he's just leagues behind, regardless of how many probes he's killed. The army is just way too big right now, so I really think that we might be seeing a GG in the next couple of seconds.
Yeah, we'll find out here. TT1, though, looks like he is gearing up for one last big push. And these Thors are pretty effective, but they're not going to be very effective against a large group of charge lots. Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what's coming out now. That charge is just about to finish. TT1 about to blink onto the high ground. He'll pull the Thors away, and he'll run in with his charge lots and kill whatever he can. Look how quickly these, well, soon to be +2, there we go, now +2 Stalkers are killing all of these units here. It looks like this poor Observer is going to go down, and TT1 picking his engagement so well, jumps and picks off 2 factories and leaves right again, just putting EGLzGamer down to 1 starport and 2 factories. That's all he has to produce.
Oh, EGLzGamer here, if he can grab that gold and not lose this orbital, he might be in a decent position to come back, but it's really going to be an uphill battle, saving that orbital, which is kind of floating off in the distance over a bunch of enemy engagement units. But I like what EGLzGamer's done now. He's transitioned into the final Autobot form, so to say, the Thor. And really, the Thor is a great unit against Protoss players, regardless of what players may think. Thors are good against almost everything from the Protoss gateways and the robotics facilities, except save the Zealot. And that's where the Blue Flame Hellions come in. They're able to take out all those light infantry units. So here we go. Big engagement. TT1 with yet again another aggressive blink. Stalker's taking the brunt of the damage. Charge lots coming in there, and not really enough Blue Flame Hellions to save the Thors from the charge lots, and that will force EGLzGamer to call a GG.
There you are, folks. So TT1 takes game number 1 of the set, and you know, EGLzGamer had a pretty good idea initially going over that tank Blue Flame Hellion build, especially it was an example, like I said before, knowing his opponent. TT1 was going for heavy zealot and sentry composition with a couple of immortals sprinkled in, but those immortals weren't going to be all that effective against, I mean, they do 50 damage against armored units and just 20 damage against regular units. So against Hellions, against Marines, they're not all that effective, really. So, EGLzGamer, had he been able to avoid those nice force fields out of TT1, would have done significant damage, potentially enough to even take the game. But as it stood, TT1's control was just too good that game.
Yeah, I agree with you on every point right there. And EGLzGamer kind of trying, looking back at this game, he kind of tried a Terran versus Zerg-like build almost with the factory units. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it was.
Didn't work out, but it's still an innovative build nonetheless. And we'll see if he tries it again in game 2.
All right, guys, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a second.